All right, today we're going to build an app that gives couples an easy and discreet way to communicate their mood for those who may have trouble with verbal communication. It should utilize Firebase Cloud Sync with email and password authentication. So this should be a fun app to build, and I'm going to show you how you can actually build in user credentials, login, Cloud Sync, and sharing with another user. Let's see if we can accomplish all this in Google AI Studio today. So, the second requirement is that a user may invite one other user to view their mood via email address. That's going to be the user credential. Once the invited user signs up and uses the app, the two users can view each other's mood. I pre-wrote this description so that you wouldn't have to listen to me think. The other user will be called the partner for lack of specific gender, marital status, etc. So screens will refer to partner's mood until an actual person has accepted the invite and they've entered their name. Then the shared user's app will display their name in the screen, such as Josh's mood or Faith's mood. Their actual name will replace the partner placeholder. The app is intended to be used with a partner, so it requires an email address to function. During the sign-up process, the user must enter some basic information which will only be shared with the user they invite. This information includes their name, birthday, and current mood. Moods can range from 1, cold, to 10, hot, with hot being the strongest indicator of being in the mood, and cold is not in the mood. Let's use some picture icons to represent the different moods. The user can choose between 5 different themes to represent mood. The number rating of the mood should always accompany the picture, just to make sure the mood is clearly understood and no assumptions are made. The 5 themes to start off with could be different states of water, ranging from solid ice cubes to pressurized hot steam. Another theme could be a weather theme, ranging from a winter snowflake to hot sun. Another theme could be animals, ranging from turtle to a tiger. Another theme could be speed related, ranging from something slow to a rocket. I couldn't think of what could be slow. I'm hoping the app will think of something there. Another theme could be modesty related, ranging from sweatpants to lingerie. Once the user is signed up and their profile information is saved, anytime they open the app, it should quickly display their partner's last recorded mood with the date and time it was recorded by their partner. If their partner's mood was reported recently, the current day, the app should highlight it as their current mood. If their partner's mood has not been recorded in the current day, the app should offer to ask partner for update, which when tapped sends a friendly request, a push notification, to their partner's app kindly requesting a mood update. The current user is also required to enter their own mood before sending a request to their partner. This should make things feel more mutual for both partners. The app should have a history page where the user can view all the historical entries of their own mood and their partner's mood with the date, time, and date of the week they were recorded. I got a typo right there. This may help them identify patterns in their own mood or their partner's mood. A user may revoke sharing privileges at any time to ensure that they remain in control of their personal data. However, the privacy in EULA must make it clear that while we can revoke access to sharing new data, it's impossible to erase data from the recipient's device. So we'll go ahead and build that now that we've got a good, solid description, and see what it comes up with. All right, so here is the initial sign up screen. So we've got name, birthday, and then the themes. You can choose one of the 5 themes that we described, states of matter, which range from solid ice, frozen, melting, cool water, lukewarm, warm bath, simmering, steaming, pressurized steam. Cool. And then forecast, blizzard, frosty, chilly, mild, pleasant, sunny, heating, scorching, fire hazard. Okay. Wild side, hibernate, sleeping bear, turtle, grazing deer, curious fox, wild tiger. Velocity, parked, strolling, walking, jogging, cruising, speeding, racing, supersonic, hyperspeed, warp drive. And attire, baggy sweats, pajamas, bathrobe, jeans and tee, casual, date night, flirty, revealing, lingerie, birthday suit. All right, so start connecting. I'll enter in an email address here. Okay, it says waiting for them to sign up. Now, I'm going to have to ask the chat agent if this is already actually working in Firebase, because I don't think we've set anything up there yet. So, yeah, it looks like it's using a mock Firebase. But I'm going to ask it for instructions on how to actually implement the real Firebase. Give me step-by-step instructions on how to implement real Cloud Sync with email, authentication, Firebase storage, and sharing with at least with another user. I'm going to change the device type to mobile. Is likely what people are going to use most. All right, so to implement real Cloud Sync with Firebase, you need to perform 2 sets of actions: external setup in the Firebase console and code implementation, which I will provide. So first, create a project in the Firebase console. So we're going to add project and then build authentication, get started, email, password. So we're going to create a new project. We'll call it Velvet Connect, since that was the name the app gave it. Sounds pretty good to me. And then we need to connect a Google Ads account. Okay, and the Firebase project is ready. Continue. And then we wanted build authentication and get started. So this is where we tell the Firebase exactly what type of authentication we want, and we're going to use email password. That's something everybody has, just makes it real easy so the person can use their email with a password to sign up. This would be email link without a password, which I don't want because we want them to be uniquely identified with their email and password. Save. Okay, and then back to the instructions here. Enable the Firestore database, build Firestore database, create database, choose a location. So build Firestore database, create database, standard edition works fine. Next. And then you have to pick a location. I go with the default. Start in production mode or start in test mode. I think we should go ahead and start in production mode. That's my opinion, just because test mode leaves things wide open. But let me check the instructions. It says, important, start in test mode for now so we can read write without complex rules immediately. Okay, well, we'll try that for now. All right. And then get the configuration. So click the project overview, project settings, scroll down to your apps, and click the web app icon. Register the app, name it. Project settings. Oops, I think I skipped a step. Project overview, project settings, your apps. Oh yeah, I didn't skip it. It's just right here. There are no apps in your project. So the first thing, when we named it Velvet Connect, that was actually the project name. Now we have to assign an app to the project. So it's a web app. It's not an iOS, Android, or these other apps. It's a web app. And I'm going to name it the same thing. Velvet Connect. And it's good to give each app its own project name and its own app name. That way, when all the data starts getting used and your API keys getting used and all that stuff, you can recognize where the usage is coming from. If you just have a whole bunch of apps under one project, you will have a hard time identifying where the usage is coming from. We're not going to set up Firebase hosting right now. We're just going to register the app. And then use npm is the default here, and I'm going to stick with that. And then down here is a configuration code. And I'm going to have to redact this, unfortunately, but we're going to copy this. Copy to clipboard. Okay. And then it says, I will update the app to use real Firebase services. Add Firebase SDKs to the import map, create the connection file. You must paste your keys here. Create the real service logic, replacing the mock. Refactor to use real-time listeners instead of polling. Okay. And I'll say here is the config. Let's update the Firebase rules so that each user can only access their own files and receive mood data from the one partner they invited. I'd like to get out of test mode and into production mode with a more secure rule set. All right, to transition your app to a secure production environment, I have implemented a robust set of Firestore security rules and refactored the Firebase service to comply with them. Strict data ownership. Users can now only read and write their own documents, preventing unauthorized access to personal data. A user can only read the profile and mood data of a user who is explicitly linked as their partner. Secure invitations. Instead of scanning the entire user database, which is insecure, the app now uses a dedicated user emails collection for looking up partner UIDs by email and an invitations collection to handle invites for users who haven't signed up yet. This allows us to disable dangerous list all user permissions. Authorized linking. The rules allow user A to write to user B's document only if user A is linking themselves, setting partner ID to their own ID. Okay, well, let's see. So I'm going to ask it, how does a user go about actually inviting a partner? Can the app really send emails on its own, or does it have to open the default email client on the device to do this? You're asking a great architectural question. The short answer, no. A client-side web application, React running in a browser, cannot send emails silently in the background on its own. Browsers block this to prevent spam. To send an email, you have two options. The native way, which is easiest and free. The app opens the device's default email client with a pre-filled subject and body. The user just hits send. This is how we should handle it for now. The automated production way, you write a Firebase cloud function backend code. When the document is created in your invitations collection, the cloud function wakes up, connects to an email provider like SendGrid or Mailgun, and sends the email server to server. This requires the Firebase Blaze plan. Since we want this to work right now without setting up paid server infrastructure, I will update the app TSX to use the native way. How it will work: the user types email and clicks invite. App saves the invitation to Firestore, so the link happens automatically when the partner eventually signs up. App immediately opens a mail to link, which pops up the user's email app with a pre-written message. Hey, join me on Velvet Connect so we can share our moods. Here's the update to app TSX to implement the email trigger. Okay, I'm going to try logging into this again. I'm not sure if it actually, I think the last time was just a mock, so I'm pretty sure I still have to sign up. I apologize if you can hear my kids screaming. It's just part of being a parent. They're not screaming in pain, they're just screaming because they're wild kids. Okay, so it's recorded all of my recent entries. That's cool. We're starting to see a little trend here. But the mood button is still way down. So here's something cool I want to show you. A way that you can talk to Google AI Studio without just chatting. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So you can open up a screenshot like this, and then I use CleanShot on Mac. There's other screenshot applications you can use out there, but I use CleanShot, and you can draw arrows and just say, point an arrow to it, mood button is hidden behind bottom of screen. Please move the how are you feeling and mood adjustment screen up. Away from the bottom toolbar. So I think that's fairly clear. And then you just copy that paste it into your chat and say, see attached. So that's really convenient because you can screenshot and comment on your screenshots, draw arrows and text, and then just say see attached. And if you can't get a point across in a regular chat, that's a perfect way to get your point across. And Gemini, which is the model behind Google AI Studio, is really good at multimodal and visual context recognition. So it can easily understand visual cues and screenshots and anything like that. Matter of fact, it even has a built-in tool that's just under my cursor right here. See, Annotate App pops up. I have that part of the screen hidden just because sometimes it displays my account name. But yeah, there's this Annotate App, and if you click it, it pops up with this toolbar where you can add comments, add arrows, boxes, text. So it's basically allowing you to make your own annotated screenshots. However, I find this tool is really clunky and not very good quality, so I prefer to use my own screenshot app. But you can use it, it's there. In the meantime, I'm going to go up here and deploy the app because I haven't done that yet. So you hit deploy app, and then it brings up which Google Cloud project you want to link this to. So right now it's listing all my current projects, and none of them are this one yet. So I'm going to create a new project. I'll call it Velvet Connect. Create project. So this is creating a project in Google Cloud now. This is different from Firebase, right? So I'm calling it the same name, but Google is kind of where my billing and where it's going to run from. It's got something called Cloud Run. Set up billing. All right, and then this project has no billing account. You can link to a billing account, and my billing account is simply called My Billing Account. Okay, so it's all set up now. I have noticed there's a little bit of a glitch where you can hit refresh and it doesn't register the fact that you just set up a project for it. So I'm going to close this. Okay, and then it answered me. It said, yeah, you should deploy the app, get a public URL. I've updated this to add a production URL variable inside. Right now, it defaults to your browser's current URL. Later, you can paste your final deployed URL. Okay, so what I've found is you could either go to deploy again. Now it should list the project. However, it still doesn't recognize billing. So I've just found the most reliable way to fix this is to go ahead and refresh the browser. That seems like a glitch, because if the solution is to refresh your browser, it basically just means it doesn't realize that you set up a billing account. So I'm going back up to deploy and Velvet Connect. Now I should get a deploy button. There it is, deploy app. It's asking you to acknowledge the terms and conditions. It's giving you a cloud project name and deploy. And this is where we get our URL, the final URL that we'll use for production, for sharing. Now, another funny thing is, it seems like whenever I set up one of these new projects, it like hangs or freezes or fails often on the first try. So again, that seems like a glitch, because I'll let it run for a minute, but if it ends up just hanging and not making any progress, I'll close it, refresh the browser, do it again, and it works. Yeah, it says your deployment failed. So I can simply close this, deploy app, and now it will work. redeploy app. See, now it says deploying to Cloud Run, so it's succeeding now. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty predictable. It does the same thing every time, actually. So some kind of glitch there connecting to Google Cloud, but it works on the second try. Eventually. Don't make a liar out of me now. Okay, there it is. App successfully deployed to Google Cloud. Your code has been deployed as a a Cloud Run service that's ready to use. You can now view your application and customize it. So it's giving me the URL, the app, the API key, and we can view the app right here. With that, we can copy this URL to the clipboard, and then we go back to the agent and say, here is the production URL. And now it's going to take that production URL and put it right into the automated emails that it generates. So that way when the user clicks on the invite, they have a valid URL to go to. It should present them with this app. They can sign up. Okay, so I think I can invite my partner for real now. I'm going to actually send this to my wife. I think this will be the first real invite that she'll get because the other ones had errors. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to switch the email account. And it's got a URL. Sign up with this email. Once you sign up, will be automatically linked. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. And I'm going to go check with my wife, see if she gets the invite. And then that's going to be interesting to see how it displays your partner's information. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. And I talked to my wife. She was in the middle of making dinner, so it took a little bit before she had time to respond to the invite. And she did. We walked through it together, showed her the buttons. It was pretty straightforward. And now she appears here, and there's a revoke button if I wanted to stop her from reading my mood data. Now she's connected to me. All right, so what else do we have here? In the history, it doesn't show anything for my wife, so that's something we're going to need to add. And in the main screen, you'll notice my wife's mood is chilly. That's what she selected, so looks like tonight's not going to be too exciting. Anyhow, it tells you when it was last updated and what the chosen rating was, and it's got a little flashing new symbol to let me know that this is a current update. What does it have up here? So she's chilly, I'm hot. That's pretty typical. But anyhow, I think this is a pretty good start to a unique app. I've never seen anything like this on the App Store or anywhere else. So, and I just invented it. I just literally, you saw me build it. It started as a paragraph that took me about 30 minutes to write, and then we walked through this. I think that took about an hour to build. And of course, I'm going to continue fine-tuning this and messing around with the display and the icons and the colors and the buttons and getting it looking the way I want it. But this is literally a working app now. So me and my wife can share our moods with each other. And, sometimes if you're married or, in an intimate relationship or whatever, you don't always have two people that can easily and openly communicate verbally or in other ways. So I thought this might be a cool way for people to just share how they're feeling. I've heard some people use like a candle or a note or some other thing, and there's probably a lot of different ways you can do that, but hey, I'm making apps, so I figure why not make an app that does it. One other thing I want to get before we leave here is the app icon. Okay, so the app icon, there's two icons that we care about. One is called a favicon, and it's the one that your browser displays when you save a bookmark. And the other is your app icon, and it gets displayed on your desktop when you save the app as a PWA, which is a progressive web app, to your desktop. So any of these apps, here's an interesting thing if you didn't know this. Any of the web apps that Google AI Studio creates can literally be saved as an app icon on your desktop. Now, if you don't do anything to make them look like an app, they'll just look like a single letter pointing to a web page. But we can fix that. So I'm going to add this. Let's add a favicon and PWA app icon that represents the app well. Maybe a heart icon, a fire, or something that represents sexual interest and mood. We'll see what it comes up with. Icons are just really great for making the app feel real and alive. There's just something about having a good icon that makes it feel final and official. And there's how it looks on the desktop. So I think we're finished with that tutorial. Hopefully that helps you. I'm going to keep fine-tuning this app. I'll probably do another follow-up video showing all the final touches I make on it. But it works. It operates. I'm sharing data with my wife now. I've got a production URL that I can share with the public. What I didn't show you is how to build in pricing structure, monetization, and all that. I'll tackle that in another video. Until next time, take care.